Hey everybody, welcome out to the Dice Tower. My name is Chris Yee.
I'm Wendy Yee.
And today we're taking a look at this Hansa Teutonica, the big box.
It's so big. Oh my goodness.
This is my favorite size for a big box pretty much ever.
It's just average rectangular sized.
Yeah. Pegasus has come out with I think at least 3 big boxes. Port Royal, this one, and the Istanbul, which is like a normal Ticket to Ride size box. So I already like it.
Already approved.
And by that I mean...
Just in that.
By that I mean we already like this game.
We do.
Now we're looking at the expansion stuff that comes in this little package here.
All right, Chris is going to show you how it's played.
Here's roughly the setup for a game of Hansa Teutonica. This is the basic map that came in the original box. I will show the other 2 later on in the review. I'm also going to show that there are a few starting little tokens out here, but really the map is pretty bare. Players are going to take turns until one of the 3 endgame conditions happens. Once cities are completely filled in by player control, this cube moves forward, and 10 of those will end the game, or once any player has moved their victory point marker up to the 20, that will trigger the end of the game, or when these bonus markers here shown on the side have emptied, the game will also end. Each player is going to have their own individual board as well as a supply of cubes and discs. I mismatched the colors on purpose just so you could see the positions easier. These are going to start here on the various areas. Cubes can be unlocked over the course of the game, which will upgrade your ability to build into the offices of different colors, upgrade the number of actions you can take on a turn, upgrade the number of cubes or discs that you can take from your unavailable supply on one side and move it over to your available supply on the other, and then also increase your endgame multiplier. These discs here represent how much you can slide of your existing cubes and discs on the board, as well as any time that you unlock something off of this board, it moves over to your available supply. This is a route building game out here on the central board here, driven by 5 actions shown on the bottom of your player board. The first of which, I already explained, which is being able to grab player pieces from your unavailable pool and add them to your available pool. The next action is to put one of your pieces out onto the board, and you can place it anywhere. Every one of these route spaces has room for either a cube or for a disc. Each of those actions cost 1 action, and you start with 2 actions available to you at the start of the game. The next action is to be able to displace somebody. If a player wanted to go onto this route where I started building, they can bump me out of there. If they push their cube in and bump mine out, they have to pay a penalty of one of their player cubes from available and move it over to their unavailable supply. And I get a benefit of being able to move this cube onto an adjacent route, touching the route that I was already on. And I get to take a cube from my unavailable supply and put it out onto the board as well. You can also do this action to bump out a disc by paying 2 cubes as the penalty, and the other player is going to receive 2 cubes from their unavailable supply to be able to place out as a compensation. The fourth action is to be able to slide pieces around based on what your book level is at, your Liber over here. So if I wanted to, for 1 action, I could slide 2 pieces of mine anywhere on the board, from anywhere to anywhere, and that would be 1 action. The last action that you can do is you can complete a route. When you complete a route, you have to have one of your pieces on every one of the spaces in between 2 cities, and then you can claim, you take your pieces off of there. Most of them are going to go to the unavailable supply, but you can put one into a city office based on what your privilege level is at. So by doing this, I have an office here. The benefit is now, anytime in the future when any player, including myself, completes a route, if I am the person who has the most control of that office in that city, I will gain a point. And this is how players are going to primarily be racing towards their 20 points in order to trigger the end of the game. You'll notice that 5 of these cities also have these special banners next to them, which is a way that you can upgrade parts of your player board. When you complete a route, say I complete this route, which would trigger both a yellow and a green point, because these are the people who have the most control of these cities, I can either choose to place my piece into this office if I have the right privilege level, or I could take all 3 of these and put them into my unavailable supply and instead get the benefit that the city gives here. The special bonus is I could unlock one of my pieces here from the extra actions. I would now have 3 actions per turn, including starting right now. This city over here is how you can upgrade more discs off of your player book area. This one here will increase your privilege amount. This one here is going to increase your bag strength. So for a single action, you can grab more pieces from your unavailable and move them to available. This one over here is going to upgrade your keys, which will be an endgame multiplier for your largest region of cities that are connected that you have at least one office in. Now this city down here is a little bit different. When you complete this route with at least one of these discs, you can take your disc here and put it into one of these drum areas or whatever the barrels, wherever they're carrying, according to your privilege level, which will be endgame points from 7 up to 11 of them. If you complete a route that shows one of these bonus markers, you get this bonus marker. It'll give you some special ability that you can use on a later turn throughout the game, as well as you can then take the next bonus marker and put it out onto one route that doesn't have any pieces onto it. When you spend these, you can get whatever the benefit is. You place it face down over here, and you're going to get some endgame points based on how many of these plates you have, whether they're used or they're unused. Once one of the 3 endgames has triggered, in this case getting 20 points, you can then use a scoring pad if you want to be able to sum up the rest of the points, or you can just use the score tracker included here because it goes up to 100. But this will walk you through what the different endgame scorings are for having the most plates, and for controlling cities, you get 2 points per that. You can multiply your keys by your biggest conglomeration of cities that are touching, and then whoever has the most points is going to be the winner at the end of endgame scoring, as well as getting points for every attribute that you've upgraded all the way. Here is the 3-player side of the board that I already showed you. The basic one here, you'll see that there's just fewer routes into some of the important cities, and the board is just a bit smaller, more compact. Now, one of the 2 expansion maps, this is the Eastern Hanseatic League map, where you'll notice that the upgrade action cities are in different places. This one actually has 2 of them combined, upgrading your bags and your extra actions, as well as these are water paths. Water paths require you to put out discs into these spaces here that have the ships on it, so you have to have multiple discs unlocked. But once you complete this route, you are able to immediately perform the action that's shown on here. You don't grab a bonus disc, it's just printed on there. There are some differences here where these these green bannered cities don't have normal offices, so when you complete a route touching them, you don't get to put a cube into them. However, you can control them by taking one of these bonus actions over here, or through other little bonus discs that you have. It uses all the same components, just a bit of a different map, this particular one for being the 3, 4, and 5 player count map. There's no backside to it, just a nice picture of Owen Wilson's great-great-grand ancestor. Here's the Britannia map, which is tall, so I have to show it here wide. You'll see that the bonus action cities are a little bit different, but they still have the same things going on. But these brown routes over here represent Wales, and in the 3-player game. In the 4 to 5 player game, there's a brown region for Wales and this blue region for Scotland. You can only build into these different colored routes if you control the main city here that accesses either Cardiff for Wales or Carlisle for Scotland, or if you have the main office that you control in London, you can build into any of them. So the color coding, it's a bit more congested, it's a bit more strategic as to how you want to try to build around different regions. But these 2 regions will give you victory point majority, 7, 4, then 2, for having the most offices in these respective areas of the map. Lastly, there are 2 small modules included, the first of which are cards that you can use only for the base map of the game, wherein if you build into these cities here shown listed here, then you get 1 point each, and if you get into all of them, then you can get up to 5 more points on top of that. The last module being these Emperor Favor tiles, which are bonus strength tokens you get by foregoing an entire turn, flipping over 2 of your plates so that they are used, but then you can grab one of these. Only a few of these are set up based on player count at the start of each game, but these will give you some sort of great power, like, hey, being able to take an extra action every turn, or being able to earn 7 points at the end of the game instead of 4 points for every one of these attributes that you've fully upgraded, or being able to make all of your cubes stronger, cost 2 to bump out instead of just your discs. So these are just some small benefits that you can get, but they're pretty costly because they waste an entire turn and 2 of your plates. That's everything that comes inside the Hansa Teutonica big box.
All right, so there's a few different things that Chris mentioned in the overview that are in this game as an expansion, but also has the base game. How are you feeling about that?
Well, I mean, so the base game is one of my favorite games of all time. I always enjoyed it before even playing any of the expansion stuff. So I mean, I already gave the game previously a very, very high rating. It's in one of, it's in both of our top 100s and everything.
Yeah.
So obviously we like it. We have this bias going into it. The expansion stuff is interesting because I had never played with either of the two maps because they were harder to find by the time that we kind of got into the game. So I was excited about this. And the maps definitely do add some new interesting stuff in there. One of them, the Britannia map in particular, I feel like is more of like an experienced player map. We taught someone for the first time.
It's definitely tighter, for sure.
It's tighter. There's more decisions going on. We taught it to someone for the first time on that map, and I thought, I'll probably stick to it with more experienced players, I think.
I think that that's fair. So that idea of you have to gain an office in a blue area to be able to expand into that blue area farther is very interesting because you have to focus in on, am I really going to go for this? And am I going to go for majorities, or am I going to just stick with other stuff? Because you can stick with other things.
Yeah, you don't have to touch Scotland.
Yeah.
I mean, most people don't in their life. So I think that map is interesting. The other one, the East Hanseatic, whatever that's, East Germany.
It felt very similar to the basic Hanseatic map with just a couple changes.
I thought those few changes were a little bit more approachable if you're looking for a new map that you can still play with new players to the table. I feel like that one's a bit more manageable. Small little extra explanations, but they won't know that the water routes aren't there on the basic map. But the basic map is just such a good, kind of open feeling, do what you want type of thing.
I feel like the benefit of this expansion box is just to give you more of what you already love. I don't feel like it's super necessary, but I also don't feel like it messes with the game or adds too much fiddliness. Like it's pretty straightforward. It adds a few extra rules so that you can get a little crunchier if you want to get crunchier. But once again, it's not like, oh my goodness, there's so many more rules. How am I going to deal with this giant box of stuff?
Right. I don't feel that bloat. I don't feel that concern like, oh man, if I own this, am I really going to get to the other stuff? Yeah, sure. You play the game a few times. You can have played on the different maps. The extra 2 little modules in there, I think are take them or leave them, I think.
I agree. I have the very same feeling. The actions, I don't feel a lot of motivation to really upgrade to those action tiles. Ooh, I get 1 extra action per turn. Ooh, I can do a special ability of some sort. It's very expensive to get.
I think that's the thing. The abilities are awesome. I mean, to displace one of your cubes takes 2 like it normally does for your discs and stuff. That's really great, but those actions are kind of difficult to get.
You're also giving up points.
You're giving up points by trading the plates.
The
little cards that kind of tell you where to go. I think that's okay because it's one of the things about the basic game of Hansa Teutonica is that it's very free form. You can just kind of do what you want, build anywhere you want, complete a route if you want to, leave the things out, or leave them behind. Anyway. That song comes to my life oddly frequently. It's so kind of open form that those little cards for the basic map can give you a little direction, like build into these cities, earn some bonus points. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, but the thing is that those little add-ons that come in this box, that's fine. They don't add too much to the price. So I feel like this box with both maps and those little 2 modules isn't terribly much more than you were able to in the past buy just the basic game. It doesn't take up much more shelf space. I like the basic game a ton. We haven't really talked that much about the basic game. Why don't we just discuss really quick why we like it?
Sure. I mean, this is one of those games that goes to 5 and actually does well at 5, which is rare, I feel like, in this hobby. Because you're taking very quick little actions, quick turns, and there's so much good positive interaction. This idea of, I can place out discs on a route, I can get in your way a little bit, and I don't hurt you very much, but instead you're bumping me out so you can finish your routes. You still have that option, but I get to add a little bit more on the board. I get to do a little bit more because we interacted. I think that that's so much fun, and it just moves very quickly.
Despite what I think is a very ugly map, all 3 of them, they visually upgraded the cover, but not the actual boards and all the stuff themselves. But it's fine. This is one of the games that does a lot and gives you a lot of decision space with very few components, short setup, meaningful decisions,
Not a lot of iconography.
Not a lot of iconography.
It's all pretty clear.
You can interact with the other people both positively and kind of get in their way, so they can bump you out, which is a benefit to you as well. And then being able to take the reposition, the sliding cubes and discs and stuff around, you can take advantage of a lot of really great strategic and tactical moments. This is one of those games that I think shines far above other games that look like this and everything because of the interaction, because of the decision space. It's fantastic, and so having more stuff for it in a small little big box like this, it's fantastic.
Yeah, so I feel like the base game, there's a few strategies you can work towards, and adding in those extra maps, those extra goals, the extra player powers you can work towards, it just gives you a few different strategic options that you can try out. So it adds more, but if you haven't played the base and you feel like, oh, this is a game I'm going to really love, should I get the big box or should I get just the basic version? I think that this one is totally great.
I don't know if there's actually the basic version available, and so whatever I still would just recommend this one. If you like the game a lot, then you have more stuff already built in, and it's not overwhelming like a lot of times when you buy a box that has like 700 expansions in it. This one is just a few, but I feel like those few things, particularly the maps, make it worth it. So score-wise,
let's do scores.
Score-wise, I'm going to give this package a 9. It's fantastic. It's a slight improvement on already one of my favorite games, and one that I want to keep coming back to even more to try out those maps and get more familiar with them, and then see if those little extra things on the side, those 2 little modules, are if I can find ways to make them feel even more worth it.
I think you stole my score.
Okay.
You cheated. So anyways, I gave this a 9 as well. It's a solid base game, and the expansion just adds more of what I love without getting heavier technical. And so I appreciate that. I think it's clean. It's very great.
All right, so there you go. That's our scores for Hansa Teutonica, the big box from Pegasus Spiele. Thanks for coming by the Dice Tower. My name is Chris Yee.
I'm Wendy Yee.
Have a fantastic day.